bride worries her disabled dad will ruin her wedding video. Story: I, 46M, have been married to Kate, 48F, for over a decade. Kate has 2 daughters from her previous marriage, Selena, 29F, and Amy, 25F. We have a daughter, Lynn, 12F, together. 2 years ago, Selena got married, and although I was invited to the wedding, I wasn't a part of the ceremony. Selena is very close with her bio dad and doesn't see me as a father figure, which I respect because we still have an amazing relationship. Amy considers me a father figure, though. I also have a very good relationship with Kate's ex and the girl's bio dad, Ron, 54M. We bonded over football and we went on many games together. I don't have many friends since I moved to another state, but I consider Ron a very good friend of mine. Amy is planning a wedding, and this is when the conflict ensued. She wants me to be the one to walk her down the aisle and the one to dance with her. I felt very honored until I found out the reasoning behind this decision. Around 5 years ago, Ron suffered a serious injury that affected his mobility. Fortunately, he isn't paralyzed or anything, but Amy claimed that his limp would get in the way of having nice wedding videos. I was shocked and appalled and disappointed in how cold and brutal she treated him. Ron was very involved in her life and loves her so much, and his condition wasn't even an issue for Selena when she was getting married. I politely declined her request, and this is when crap hit the fan. Ron found out that she wanted me to take his place, and he decided to not participate in the wedding at all, also deciding to not contribute financially. His wife, Belle, F38, called Amy and said that she is an a-hole and that she won't be contributing financially either. Amy and Belle had a pretty good relationship, and Amy relied on their financial support when she was planning the wedding. I decided to not participate in this wedding either, since Amy decided to exclude her own father and my best friend. Now Amy says that I'm an a-hole for refusing to pay for the wedding, to participate in it, and ruining her special day. Kate says I'm being too harsh on her since she lost the support of her bio dad and stepmom. Her fiancé is on her side too. Selena, Ron, and Belle think that she's an a-hole and pretty much cut her off, expecting me to cut her off as well. Luckily, Lynn doesn't have a distinctive opinion. The drama is snowballing with every next day, and I feel like I need to hear some outside opinions. Sorry if I left out any info. I tried my best to put it in a 3,000 character post. Response 1. Amy isn't that special. Sounds like in spite of families that remained close and navigated the step-parent issues, you raised a brat. That videos or photos are more important to Amy than the feelings of her father should be a red alert for the man marrying her. Your wife is wrong. Amy did not lose the support of her father and stepmother. She threw it in their face. I think your stepdaughter should pay for her own wedding and walk herself down the aisle. Amy started the drama. She's the only one who can end it. Right now, I think she'd be better off eloping. Reply 1. Amy is very perfectionistic when it comes to events, and she has some social media following that she has to maintain the image for. It doesn't excuse her actions, though, not in the slightest. Guess just eloping won't bring her that much online attention. Reply 2. Your comment made me more sad than your original post. Amy is ruining incredibly important relationships for her online personality, and that is horrible. Not the a-hole. And I'm extremely impressed with how all of the parents here have navigated life over the last 15-ish years together. Reply 3. We are all pretty much on good terms with each other. Kate and Ron divorced very amicably and kept a fairly friendly relationship. Our family was pretty much drama-free, well, up until now. We welcomed Selena's husband and Amy's fiancé with open arms. Reply 4. It doesn't excuse her actions. No, it doesn't. If anything, it makes it 10x worse. The fact that she's doing this for social media attention just makes me want to gag. If you were to go through with this, and I beg that you do not, after the fact insist that she not include any photos or video on social media with you in them, you can definitely insist on that. Or wouldn't it be just too fitting if you suddenly had an injury the day before the wedding and had to limp down the aisle and through the dance? Reply 5. Honestly, I'm surprised she wouldn't want her father for photos and video. I hate to say it, but a pretty bride making a big show about including her disabled father for the dance would have been more viral than a healthy stepdad. She doesn't sound like she thinks things through. Response 2. NTA. Sounds like Amy has taken having two loving father figures for granted and burnt all of her bridges. Reply 1. Seriously. This is like the picture-perfect blended family that everyone would like to have. Amy had the love of all her family members who loved each other in return, and she threw it all away for social media videos? It goes past a-hole behavior. It's just sad. Reply 2. Not just burned them, but made them explode. I don't know how an adult child could never come back from treating two supportive fathers, bio and step, this way. Response 3. Freedom of choice doesn't mean freedom from consequences. She decided that her father's limp was more of a detraction from her wedding than the removal of his love and financial support. She decided that the look of her wedding video was more important than her looking like a self-centered, entitled, mean-spirited, mean girl. She showed everyone who she is and is unhappy that she's not being praised for her cruelty. She is harvesting what she chose to plant, not the a-hole. Reply 1. My mom has a spinal injury from a hit and run as a pedestrian a decade ago. That means she walks with a hunch and has to use assistive devices, usually a cane. I can't imagine being so shallow and image-obsessed that I excluded her from being involved in an important milestone. Like, damn. That's the lady who stayed up nights to take care of me when I had fevers, who worked her ass off my entire life, but also always made time to help me with my homework or listen to my dramatic teenage woes. Her physical appearance and ability could never diminish how proud I am to be her daughter. Reply 2. My mother wound up having major hand/wrist surgery 4 days before my wedding, and is wearing primarily white because that was the only dressy outfit she had that would accommodate the cast/sling. I would never have considered asking her to drop out of the wedding. Wife and I had both of our parents escort us up the aisle for that. We have definitely had our problems, but she's my mother and I love her, medical issues and all. The trend these days of everything must be perfect for the gram is so toxic. I'd rather have an imperfect photo that shows the real people we were than something perfectly staged that's a lie. Response 4. NTA. Amy has brought this all on herself for wanting to put style and aesthetic as her priority for the wedding. No one should ever expect their wedding to be free and should always work and plan within their own budget. Amy has isolated everyone herself. Response 5. Amy is stupid in addition to selfish and mean. While I do not agree with this personally, if she had thought about it for 2 minutes, followers seem to love heartwarming moments like a wedding when someone who may not be 100% in life has a truly happy moment. She could have really ran with it since she sounds like the type of person who cares about how much social clout she has. But to your question, not the a-hole, and I'm disappointed in your wife not understanding the magnitude of what her daughter has done. Reply 1. Right? She could have totally gone for the whole look at me caring for my slightly disabled old dad thing. Still fake and in my opinion disgusting if only done for clout. But still, reply 2, I'm thinking of the video where a father is walking down the aisle and the father stops and grabs the hand of her stepfather so they can both walk her down the aisle. Stepfather is super touched and emotional. That went viral because it was such a beautiful moment. Reply 3, right? Like if she's really wanting to increase viewership, this is the way to do it. I think more and more weddings are being remembered by what makes them different than other ones and not just fitting into this cookie-cutter template. Response 6, NTA. But Amy sure is. I actually can't believe she would exclude her bio dad because of his limp affecting the wedding videos, but still expected him to pay for the wedding. How shallow can one be? Response 7, NTA. She is a massive one that made a stupid, cold decision and effed around and found out. Dad, I don't want you to be in the wedding since your condition isn't aesthetic, but also can you help pay for it? No. Response 8, NTA. Amy made an incredibly selfish decision. That she's still trying to make this happen, even knowing how upset he is, just goes to show how deep her character flaw runs. Not to mention the crass level of entitlement she is showing by expecting you to finance this now that her plan A fell apart. She didn't choose you for your relationship. She chose you because you don't limp. Amy has a very poor character, and you shouldn't reward that behavior by participating or paying for anything. She created this mess. She can either repair it or pay for it herself. But letting her get away with her behavior by funding her is not the answer. Response 9. I would give anything to still have my dad for even one little hug. I'd crawl next to him in a wedding dress if I could have him just for a little moment. Amy is young, and one day she'll be very sad she doesn't have her father to limp next to her in life. Not the a-hole. Life is not aesthetic. Response 10. NTA. Wow, Amy is very selfish and heartless. Putting a video above the feelings of her family is insanity. She made her bed, so now she gets to lie in it. I wouldn't give a dime towards this wedding. Response 11. NTA. I'm sorry the woman who considered you a father figure turned out to be such a shallow human being. Response 12. Info. Was Ron mad because Amy asked you to walk her down the aisle? Or did he find out why and was then mad? Reply 1. It was the reasoning behind her decision that set him off, and the fact that she tried to do it behind his back without asking him first. He wouldn't have minded if I was included in the ceremony too, but he definitely minded being completely excluded himself. With Selena, I didn't mind being completely excluded from the ceremony either, since her bond with Ron is incredibly strong, and she was adamant on honoring specifically him on her wedding day. But Amy didn't have a special bond like she did with either of us. She considers both me and Ron her father figures. Reply 2. Please do not support her in any way. She is an a-hole that only cares about her likes on social media, not about family. Response 13. And maybe Amy can hire a handsome actor with a flawless walk to escort her down the aisle. The video will be perfect. Reply 1. That would detract from her though. OP is probably not ugly, but not necessarily good-looking, laugh out loud. Gray man sort of thing. Response 4TA. She was the one that destroyed her relationship with her family by acting this way. She doesn't want a disabled man to walk her down the aisle, but wants home to pay for it? Come on. Response 15. NTA. My father died a few years before I got married. I wouldn't have cared if he had to be pushed in a wheelchair. He would have walked me down the aisle and danced with me if he was there. Response 16. NTA. She lost their support, financial and emotional, when she put her wedding's aesthetics, which no one but her will even remember, give or take a year or so, before her actual relationships. It is harsh, yes, but it is also entirely fair. This is a mess of her own making, and contributing and attending will only validate her feelings that she was in the right. She was not, and that behavior should not be validated at all. If Kate wants to support that, that's her choice, but the financial should weigh solely on her shoulders, since apparently Amy wants to use people's money without the respect of treating them as people, not as ATMs. Response 17. My uncle would complain because he was embarrassed by my aunt's hearing loss when out in public. I set him straight one day after having enough of his complaining about it. I told him that people are not judging his wife. They are judging him because he is supposed to support and protect her. He is the embarrassment, not her. Your stepdaughter needs to learn that she is the embarrassment, not her father. The only way to fix any of this is to get her to realize that she isn't special and nothing is perfect. NTA, Amy didn't lose either of her father's support. She threw it away for some pretty pictures. Response 19. All for the gram. I hate these people. Sounds like she's more interested in her wedding than her actual marriage. I'm really sad for her bio dad, but you really stepped up. That's a good thing. What does her mom say about all this? NTA. Response 20. Amy is the a-hole, and this carp show is all her doing, all because she's afraid pictures won't look good. She doesn't sound nearly mature enough to get married either. Not the a-hole.